Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Catherine Sarasota. I'm a global real estate advisor with Premier Sotheby's here in the Sarasota area. And I'm in our Longboat Key office, and I just love that I can have one of our signs behind us. I thought I would do a market update. With the changes in the market, now is not the time to be lackadaisical about updating you what's going on. And what we're starting to see now are the number or the numerical representations of what we've been seeing as agents. And basically, that is a slowing, a cooling of the market here. So currently, there are 3,474 active listings with a Sarasota mailing address. Now, bear in mind, this can be racominiums where you store your boats. It can be mobile homes. It can also be incredibly luxurious properties up to, I think, 33 to 37 million is the most expensive property in our market today. And a little secret, I remember when you could spend $2 million, get a waterfront property, and we would all be, isn't that amazing? So this is the kind of thing that's happening with real estate globally. Everywhere is turning into New York, London, Paris. Real estate in general has become significantly more expensive since COVID. Now, there's reasons for that. One, of course, is COVID and people kind of lost their minds. And actually, there's a lot of research. Nobody, I don't think, really understands why or how it works, but it happens throughout history where people collectively sort of lose their minds on about something. Um, but relatively speaking, so the prices have gone up. There's more people, physically, more people in the world than there used to be. So as people reach a certain age of maturity, they want their own homes. And so they're applying pressure in the market. Equally, people are living longer than they used to. So properties are not being vacated quite as quickly as perhaps they did in the past. And finally, there is a huge transfer of wealth happening. It has been happening for a few years, and I suppose we're probably getting near the top of it now in what's called the boomer generation. So these are the post-World War II people who were born just after World War II, all the way up to early to mid 60s. So they are through inheritance, through trust, they're passing on their wealth to their children who have now a lot more money to spend, and they are competing with one another. And particularly here in Florida, what we have is people who have lived in more established parts of the country where it is routinely much more expensive, such as New York, Boston, Chicago, so the land values in these big cities has gone up significantly since the 1980s. And now those folks are retiring and want to come to Florida, so they're cashing out their properties up north, giving them more to spend down here. And again, that creates a kind of a pressure. Now, if we loop back around to what I was saying about how many properties are on the market right now with the Sarasota mailing address, the 3,474 properties, it's really only a little bit up from last month and the month before that. It's not a dramatic increase in the number of properties on the market. Now, what is another indicator, though, of a slowing market is that in the past 2 weeks, 230 properties have gone under contract, which works out to about 16 per day. We were generally hovering around 20 contracts per day in Sarasota, dropped to 18. Now we have dropped to 16. So you see the number of properties going under contract is reducing. Ultimately, this will again drive up the number of active listings, but it is not as of yet anything quite significant. Now, price drops. Price drops are kind of leveling out. There were 369 price drops of active listings in the past 2 weeks. This is holding kind of similar to before, and both the numbers are lowering actually from earlier this year. But what was interesting, I thought, and again, another indicator of our slowing market was the sold price to listing price ratio has actually dropped 1%. So 96% pre-COVID, post-COVID. COVID was an anomaly. And now we've gone from 96% to 95%. So this means that sellers are accepting lower list prices or lower offer prices than their list price at a percentage lower than they were before. So you want to be looking at properties that are within 20% of where you can hit with your finances. Okay. But it does mean that the seller might come down and agree a lower number than they would have a year ago. Okay. So that's why that number is dropping. All these things generally are pointing to a slowing real estate market down here in Southwest Florida. Now, I appreciate in big cities, for example, I was talking to someone the other day whose adult children or son and his wife are trying to buy a property up in the Boston area. And it sounds like it's still cracking on there. So what's the difference? Well, in Sarasota, we are not a city famed for our industry, right? We don't have big engineering firms here. We do have some. We have a lot of construction firms. We have a lot of real estate brokerages. We have a lot of nursing homes. We are more tourism, real estate, aging related. We are not, we don't have the same proportion of big industry that a large city would. And that's another reason why our market is a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit softer right now than perhaps where you are, where you're watching this. So, if you have a real estate need or question, do give me a call at 941-928-1187. I would be delighted to help you. Have a glorious day.